You make me smile like an off-center picture. You don't even know it. You don't even know it. You make me feel all the things that I feel, but I don't even show it. I don't even. You make me smile like an off-center picture in the wrong position with the wrong fixtures. I'm slowing it down. That's how I usually take it now. And if I'm stunning too hard, I'ma turn it back down.
Could you tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Aaron. Most people would know me, from my Instagram socials. I am a gospel rapper from Malaysia. I'm based in Malaysia. We're currently in Kuala Lumpur. I do music, gospel rap, hip hop, and yeah, that's the main thing that people know me on social media as. But what I do to get money mainly is I work, I teach, I educate. So that's what I do. I'm a teacher at a Christian homeschool as well.
Oh,
Yeah, that is my day job.
Is the Deaf
oh,
Academy yours?
Yeah, so about that. So very interesting. So if you go on Instagram, you'll see there are three accounts with the name, the Deft Insight. It's my personal account or my public account. Technically, it's not personal, it's public. We have the Deft Media, which is the creative media side of it. And also we have the Deft Academy, which is more the educational side of it. So if you go to my account, you'll see that I am a educator of the Deft at the Deft Academy. I'm the lead creative at the Deft Media. So that's what we do. We educate and we also help people with their videos and all that kind of stuff. Technically, my team. I have a team, two in a team, videographer and a photographer. So they make me look good. Yeah. And then for the Deft Academy is me. I'm the lead educator. So I also have a network of teachers, tutors, whoever, not only hard skills like your normal science and math stuff, but also like soft skills. We have like public speaking, coaching, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I have a connection of them with them as well. So if you want to learn anything, you can just hit me up and then have a chat. Let's just hook you up. You know what I'm saying? So I personally conduct the rap classes. Usually I do it on Zoom because rap can get really, really technical. Like talking about writing, lyricism, so I'm all for that. And what I'll do is I'll share my screen. We'll go through some lyrics. We'll go through a lot of lyrics. We actually dissect the lyrics itself and talk about all the schemes, the schemas, and whatever that's inside the song and how it's about. And a lot of things I'll give a lot of stuff. So yeah,
So, how was the rap scene like when you first joined it?
14 to 12 years ago, it was definitely raw, like really raw, as in like we had our OG. So OG stands for Original Gangsters, right? They're like the pioneers of the Malaysian rap scene. So back then, right, it was really raw. There was not a lot of stuff going on. If there was, it was a lot underground. And also since internet was not so widely spread, everyone doesn't really have like a fast internet connection and like everything's recorded and stuff like that. So there's a lot of word of mouth, Facebook groups, and the kind of stuff.
so how's your music like actually, and what do you stand for through your music?
Mm. Okay, so my music I like to classify it as more orchestrated. I like big sounds, like fills the room kind of sounds. I like to sweep across the entire bandwidth. I'm more about like how full I want it to sound with as little sounds as I can or unique sounds as I can. So that's what I try to do with my music. Yeah, so the music itself will have to lead people in, but obviously I want people to stay for the words. So for me, in terms of my stand, as mentioned earlier, I'm a gospel rapper, right? So whatever I speak will have a Christian worldview. Even if it's on like relationships, breakups, or anything, it will have natural and inclination towards the Bible. I will go back to the Bible. There'll always be a kind of a pushing back to the Bible where it's like it's hopeful, it's positive, the message is it'll shed good light, and I hope that people will see that like there's always a different view of how you can look at things. I will give them like two sides of the coin, and I will tell them the two sides, but I will hone in on the hope that we can look at.
So growing up, how do you get into rap and then into gospel rap? Because as far as we know, and for most of us who are uninitiated, it's a pretty niche thing, right?
So growing up, I grew up in a Christian environment, Christian family. My mom's Christian, and she grew up in church and all that. I was like, okay, cool. But then at the age of 10 to 12, 14, that was when I started dabbling with rap. And I was like, okay, I could probably do that, like rap and rhyme and all that kind of stuff. And as I grew older, my faith grew stronger. I was like, okay, I need a proper topic to speak about. So I was like, okay, I think this one, like I mentioned, about hope and positivity, but not only for positivity, but it's a very hopeful message. It deals with the the inner beings, the inner workings of a human being, right? So it actually goes down to the core of something of a person, and then it tells you this is what's right, this is what's wrong, and the kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. I can mix these two together. And then at the time, gospel rap was actually a thing in the US. So what I did was like, okay, cool. I want to mix these both together because I feel like this is a message that I can really portray. I can really like dish out enough. I know enough about it. I know, and I'm learning, so I know more about it, and I can give people this hope as well. So that's how I got involved in that kind of thing. So in Malaysia, if you ask, is there a Christian hip hop scene or Christian rap scene? I think I'm the only guy doing it. So mainly my Christian hip hop family is elsewhere, but we have a few. I know of like one English rapper in terms of Christian English rapper will be me. There is one Mandarin rapper. He's a pastor and he's a rapper and he's a father of four. So at the Chinese scene, they have that going on. So he raps in Mandarin. It was really crazy. So a big shout out to Daniel Lowe.
What actually is gospel rap?
Rap is a subculture of hip hop. So hip hop is the culture. All right. So if you want to go back to the history of it, it started off in the Bronx, in the States, right? I think a borough in New York, right? And what happened was they were having a block party, a birthday party, and DJ Kool Herc. So all these dudes were blacks, right? They were African Americans. They came into a block party. What they did at the time, they like brought up the speakers, they brought everything, right? And they like set it up and like, yo, let's have a party. So DJ Kool Herc was the DJ at the time, spinning on the disc jockey and all that kind of stuff. And he was scratching and all that. And then after the one, and then he started. I was thinking was he started rapping. All right, then he started spinning over the thing that he was chopping up, the track that he was chopping up. He started rhyming and stuff, and that was actually how rapping came about. Not the gospel. Okay, the gospel is a very narrow definition. It is particularly about the life and death of Christ, who he is, what he did for us, So he lived a perfect sinless life. He died a sinner's death, a criminal's death, and he was raised on the third day, right after he was buried in a tomb. So that is the life and death of Christ, perfect. All right, that's how we came about with that. And then when he resurrected and he ascended to heaven, is the benefits that's given to us because of his workings, whatever that he did for us. So the gospel is a very narrow definition. So that's why I actually use the word gospel rapper instead of Christian rapper. That's different. That's how I look at it. Because if a person calls themselves a Christian rapper, they might just be, I'm a rapper who's Christian, right? I may be a Christian and I happen to rap, right? But when you use the term gospel rapper, you're saying that what you are rapping in your songs, it has to somehow or other point back to the gospel. That's what I'm saying. The core essence, the type, the whatever that you were talking about has to be gospel based. That's it. That one will actually will bring it way further. I usually write based off of experiences, I think, which is 90% of whatever people do. So my creative process, something happens to me, I take it, I try to make sense of it. How do I make sense of this thing? I write it on paper. And the best thing I can do is I'll marry it to a beat. So when I do that, I'm also at the same time offloading my pain, offloading my experiences, and also like taking a step back, like, oh, look, this is what happened. So it's more like an everything kind of process. I am self-medicating, I'm understanding, I'm also like vomiting all my creative juices. It's like an everything thing.
What does the deaf mean?
Yeah, we've always been wondering.
The deft actually is a blend of the word the, like duh. I mean, not duh, but THE, okay? And deft. Deft means dexterous, means you're smart or you're very skilled at something. The deft actually stands for the things that I stand for, but more like social causes. And also, like the name I say, is you're skilled at or you're the best at something, right? So I have shirts as well as like called the Deft. Tell you what, you hang on here for a minute. So I'm gonna do a shameless plug. Well, guys, so right, I got the Deft
Hey.
Y'all can see that. All right.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's the Deft tee. The purpose now of this tee, this brand, is like you're the best at whatever you do. Right. So if anyone wears the tee, they'll be like, okay, I'm the deft at something. You know what I'm saying? So that's the idea of the brand, actually. So anyone can be the deft, not me. I'm just the first, like, to put out the brand. Yeah. So as long as you stand like for something of like a spirit of excellence, you want to do something well, then yeah, this brand, you would definitely resonate with the brand, because as long as you want to give your best, then you're the deft.
Ooh.
Is there one thing that you wish Malaysians or Malaysia would change?
So I think with this context, like currently, since like everyone's on the internet, everyone's online, and they have access to all information, especially all these kinds of things, is like not to be too skeptical and also not to be too rigid. And what I mean by that is like you have your principles. Like for me, like we have this conversation, I'm just telling you a lot of my principles. So I'm very principled in a way, right? But in a way, I'm also not rigid in a way where if you telling me about a principle that I don't agree on, I was like, okay, cool. I mean, if it's logical as a whole, then it's logical regardless, right? But if it is flawed in logic, then I would suggest you have a look at it. For me, that's how I approach anything, even with my faith and even like anything. It has to make sense. Christianity to me makes the most sense because of the way it's structured, the way it is, the whole narrative and everything. It makes sense. But if something does not make sense, I will not just dismiss it totally. Like, yo, let's just chill. Let's have a look at this. You know what's up? You know what I'm saying? I think it's more like have an avenue for discussion, be more open. I think in a time like this, in this climate, we need more of that. And more, I'll say, heartful or heartfelt conversations just to understand another person, be kind and be better. And whatever we can help people. I think that's now in this climate, especially. I always talk about now, but and then now it's more like a testing period. Once we get used to it, all right, this time. And then after it has blown over, even if it doesn't blow over, whatever, at least we are used to the things that we're supposed to be actually doing in the first place, right? Which is be kind to one another. We don't need a pandemic to teach us that. I think it's to be open to a lot of different things, like to open to change because change is the only constant. I think just to accept each day, knowing that again, hope, right? Knowing that there's hope. That if you're not dead, you have lungs, you have a breath in your lungs. You wake up today, there's a new day, you can do something about your life. You know, you're not a waste of space. Never give up. So life has funny way of like, okay, it should be this, do the opposite, it should work. But most of the time it does not do that. For some reason, maybe this does is not compatible with that, is not compatible with this. Yeah, life is a funny way of throwing you. It's talk about throwing you lemons, right? Life doesn't only throw you lemons, they throw you lemons, the tree, the rock, the moon, everything will be coming at you, right? So what we gotta do, right, is we gotta, like I said, take it by the horns and sit with it long enough. We gotta be patient enough and persevere. Go with it, the process. It will take 1 month, 2 months, whatever, 3 years. As long as you keep doing it, going at it every day, as painful as it sounds, but lose hair like me maybe, or shave it off if you have to. All right. But as long as you come to a space where you know exactly what you need to do to get what you want.
So you said that before you actually have anger management issues.
Oh yeah, I was an angry child.
How did you actually deal with that?
Rap. So rap is my outlet. An emotion's emotion. Whether it's negative or positive is how you view it at that particular point of time. Okay. So anger is one of those emotions where if used correctly, it's like fire, right? If used correctly, it will be able to burn brightly under control, a controlled chaos. But uncontrolled fire, like from one matchstick, you have the Australian bushfire. Look at that. If you are not indignant about sin or indignant about wrong stuff, you don't have a justifying compass. So that is where anger can come into place because I'm so angry at the people who are doing wrong things, they should be punished. But punished in a way where it's right and fitting for the act itself, right? So that's how anger can play out. If it's wrongly done, it can be abuse of power. It can be I'm just like, yo, I'm just angry, I'm gonna slap everybody. You know, go watch the Slap 2 trailers. What's wrong with that? So that's like, that's the wrong use of anger. I grew up very confused in terms of my identity. My full name is Aaron Louis Teng Wei, right? I do not look anywhere near like y'all Chinese people. Okay. So I look more like a Malay person. Okay. And if I go to a Chinese restaurant and eat my dumplings with chopsticks, they'll be like, hey, again. Okay, so if I go to a right, if I go to a Indian restaurant, eat my hands, they'd be like speaking to me in Tamil, which I don't understand anything. Also. So if I go to a Malay restaurant during Puasa month, they would not feed me. So it happened before, mind you. Okay, so how I get to this space is because I'm adopted. I am adopted into a Chinese family, but I'm Chindian. So my biological mom is Indian. We do not know who the dad is, but in order for me to look such and such a way, my dad had to be, my biological father had to be Chinese. It's the only way that I can look like this, and yeah. But if you go up to the registrar, my race is actually Indian, because my mom is Indian, biological mom is, and we do not know who the father is. So hello, right? So that's the understanding. So growing up, I was bullied because of how I look, skin color, and all this kind of stuff, And I didn't know what it was, what adoption was, and stuff. So I was bullied because of that as well. So I'm like, okay, cool. I had a lot of pent up anger as growing up, and I couldn't accept who I was, my identity, until I came to a age of 18. When I came 18, I was like, okay, this is who I am, and this is just who I am. I was made in such a way, and there has to be a purpose behind these things that I go through, or things that happen to me, or why did God put me here? We always have that big question. What is my purpose in the world? So for me now, looking back at it, it's been 10 years. All right, I'm 28 this year, and it's been 10 years, and definitely it's a long journey. It's been a long journey, but I obviously know my purpose, why I'm adopted into this family, why this particular family, why in such a manner like this, is because, like it's a podcast, having a podcast with you, just talking, not even a podcast, but just talking to people, telling about my story, telling people like there's always two sides of the same coin. It depends on how you look at a situation. And another reason why, just one more short one about an anger issue, right? You talk about anger management, how I got through is this. And that's why the gospel has been so close to me, and hip hop has been so close to me. Because the gospel, like I said, works in the most broken of places. Hip hop is actually the voice of the oppressed. They were stripped of everything in the US, right? Blacks, they were stripped of a lot of things, and the only thing that they had left was their music. Hip hop gave them a way out, right? And the gospel saved people from that as well. It opens your spiritual eyes and stuff like that. So the two of it, that's how actually I dealt with it. I was an angry child. I needed some way out, like to escape, right? And then being creatively, like writing about it. So that's where I calmed myself. I wrote about my anger. I vented out. There are a lot of tracks that I wrote that is not live anywhere because they were just meant for me. I mean, I can tell you how hard it is, but some things I'm also I want to be as expressive as I can, but I also have, in a way, an obligation, a responsibility. If I say I'm a gospel rapper, I can give you the really difficult parts of my life as well, and I can actually do that without needing to do that. I mean, unless it is called for, when I feel like that's a need to, then if I have to say it, then okay, I will say it. So I also want the best for my audience. I mean, I don't want them to feed them with rubbish and crap because I do not want to be fed with rubbish and crap. All right, man.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.